this?
Sure.
How about
Okay.
this? Like, I will share
Yeah.
this recording with you, like, after the meeting.
We can all record.
Okay. Or
So
separately, right?
then we can compare. Did she lie?
Right.
Did she tell the truth?
Yeah. Yeah, which one is better? We can compare it. That's a great idea. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm in psychology, and my coworker who's working on this idea is also in psychology. And we think we want to build this, large data set that can feed into AI or machine learning models that can train on about like human sentiment or human ethics, like those like very subjective feelings or subjective like opinions about human beings. And
Yeah.
we believe that we can, like, by creating this data set, like we can train the machine more like human beings, which is like the aim of the AI. Like eventually they want to build a AI like a human being, or like they understand like how human thinks or feels like that, right? And we
Yeah.
believe that this idea could be like contribute to, you know, to the AI field to get a little more closer to that, idea or goal. And I found your company when I was searching for, okay, if we create this data set, who would be, you know, who would be our like customer, like who would be willing to pay for this data sets and like use it. And like during that, market research period of time, like I found you and your company. So I wanted to like hear more about like what you are doing and how you provide your services and what is the bottleneck kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So the company started initially with something different. It was always about the human face, but
Mm,
initially we were doing 3D avatar and also augmented reality
mm,
filters. So we started with
mm,
that, and we had
mm,
a good ride, let's say. And then in parallel, we were developing, and we got a research grant in Belgium of almost
mm,
$1 million to do emotion AI. So with augmented reality, we were always mobile first. All the filters they happen on the mobile device. And we wanted to go further with the human face in terms of understanding
mm,
it, like emotions. We were
mm,
also interested in the demographics, like detecting gender, detecting age, detecting ethnicity. Let's say, trying to understand the human face, how the person
mm,
feels. And so we were always focused on use cases where everything is inside the mobile. So the face of the user
mm,
never goes to the cloud like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. It stays
mm,
safely inside the device of the user.
mm,
It gets analyzed.
mm,
It doesn't even get stored for the analysis. It's analyzes on the fly. Why? Because
mm,
we are obsessed with privacy. We think that, big tech are making so much money because they are monetizing our lives. And
mm.
okay, it's part of life. We cannot, it's not that I'm going to sue Google or Amazon. It's part of, a
Yeah.
user from consent. But I believe that in some use cases, it's interesting to get data about the face, like the emotional
Mm,
state, but without going into the storing of the people's faces. So
right.
we were focused on this kind of use case. So what we created with the research project was what we call light neural network. Light in the sense that they are small enough to
Right.
run
Right. Right.
inside a normal smartphone. And of
Right.
course, with the Moore's law, you can always do more computing every year on the next iPhone is going to be more powerful than the previous one, and same
Right.
with Android and all that. But so we were focused on this kind of use case where the face of the user gets analyzed inside the device in real time.
Mm, mm,
And then you get insights on the user. So what kind of use cases? Right now, we are working on our first B2C product. Initially, we were doing B2B. We were selling software components like an
mm.
emotion detector SDK. SDK
Oh,
app developers could use. It was
sorry, it
already
was cut a little bit. So I heard until like you first initially worked on B2B, and what
yes.
was it about?
So what we were selling is, in the technical jargon, it's called SDK, Software Developer Kit. What it is, it's really a software component that people can use inside their own app development. So we were not building the app, we were just building a face analytics
Right.
engine that would detect the emotion. So our customers are companies which are not the Googles of the world, because these guys can build it internally, but
Right.
mid-sized companies or companies which don't have a focus in inventing AI stuff, uh,
Right.
app developers in general, and who use AI to understand the emotions of the people in a
Mm-hmm.
video stream. It could be, to give you an example of a few customers, and by the way, Stanford University is a customer of ours for
Right.
our previous product. I don't know if you saw that, but we did some aging application. It was also for non-technical
Oh,
faculty members. It was a Japanese lady doing research on empathy with aging. So our software was looking at your face, aging it on the virtual mirror on your screen, and
okay.
then they were analyzing by asking questions and doing surveys. How do you feel about an older yourself or an older
Mm,
friends and family? So
do
that was a
you
project
remember?
we did. Hmm?
Oh, sorry. Do you remember what department she is in?
I can find the name for you. I will send it to you in a follow-up email. I
That
think
would
she
be
was
great.
in
Yeah.
sociology. Yeah, very cool lady, but it was long ago, like I think
Mm,
6, 7 years ago. But
wow.
anyway,
Okay.
but
Uh-huh.
I kept her name definitely. And I will also send you a link to our page on the customer case study.
Mm,
There is a
mm,
description of what we did for Stanford. Anyway, closing the parenthesis, to give you example of customers, we have educational apps for kids. The app
mm,
runs on a tablet and the camera is active, of course,
mm,
with parental or the student or the parent
mm,
authorize that. And so the AI is analyzing the face of the child who is following the lecture to try to adapt the pace of the lecture or the
mm,
complexity of the lecture by looking at the facial expression of the
mm,
child. So there
mm,
was a Spanish company that we signed last year. But there are so many use cases where you want to adapt to the emotions of the person.
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
the robots of tomorrow, if the robots of tomorrow are not empathic and they are not able to adapt their behavior, their
Mm,
way of talking to us, uh, they need to understand our emotions just like humans. Otherwise, we're not going to use these robots.
right.
Um, it could be a car. There are many companies. There is a big company, I'm sure you heard of them, Affectiva.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So they were mainly they were in different verticals, but the biggest one, and they got acquired by a Swedish company in the field of automotive. So the idea there was mainly to understand the emotions of the driver to see if he's falling
Oh,
asleep.
I
So it
see.
was
Mm-hmm.
driver safety. So given that the success and the size of Affectiva, we didn't go into that space. Also, we thought that the automotive was a too
Mm-hmm.
long sales cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been developing the product B2B as a software developer kit for app developers. Video games as well. We have a video game company in Hong Kong using our software.
Yeah.
We have meditation
Wow.
apps that need to know if the meditation is working. So basically a
Mm-hmm.
feedback loop to understand the emotion of the person.
What is the like rough estimate for you how big the market is, like in terms of the money, you would say?
Hmm. Ballpark figure, I would say in the tens of billions. It's changing. And keep in mind also, when we say emotion detection, it's much broader than just analyzing the face. There is a
Right.
lot of emotion detection by doing
Right.
sentiment analysis on text. All these
Right.
chatbot applications now are doing sentiment analysis, but it's
Right.
pure NLP, natural language processing on the text of what the interaction with the chatbot or the user. So these
Mm-hmm.
customer service kind of chatbots, they
Mm-hmm.
do sentiment analysis, but it's not the face, it's what the person is writing.
Mm-hmm.
There is no camera involved and all that. So that would also fall into the market of emotion detection. So if you put it
Right.
all together, the last time we checked these numbers, they change all the time. But
Right.
we're talking about tens of billions of dollars.
I
And it's
see.
going to grow because, next year or next 2 years from now, you will have a robot in the store And in 5 years, maybe they fire all the employees and they just have robots. And if these robots cannot, greet
You're
you, yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen because it's a cost saving. So will people accept them
mm,
or not? That's the big question for retailers. I spoke to a big executive at SoftBank, and
mm,
SoftBank they own US Sprint, which now merged with T-Mobile.
mm-hmm,
But it was
mm-hmm,
before COVID. I had this conversation. So he was looking at the market of US Print as a retail store. They have tens of thousands of stores across the US. And they say, we
mm,
want to put robots there who will greet the customer and walk them
mm,
inside the store. Oh, you want an Android device? Let me take you there. And the robot, and you will follow the robot and all that. The robot should be able to understand your emotions to adapt the way he's talking to you. So they were really, and for that, by the way, you need technology like ours. You cannot have an API call to the cloud. The cloud
mm,
is always there, but it's World Wide Web. It's not World Wide Web. It's
right.
if you send the face of the person, if the robot is in the store and takes the picture or the video stream of the user, of the
Mm,
customer, and sends it to the cloud and asks, hey, what's the emotion of this guy? And then the answer is back. Maybe it takes a second or two. The customer is already gone. I mean, so
right.
it
It
needs
has
to
to be
run
on the
locally.
device.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it must be in the device. So there are more and more use cases like that. Now they're talking about smart camera in
Mm,
retail or other places like smart city, in the city as well. All these cameras have a chip, a CPU, GPU, so they are able to do processing locally. So the camera, instead
mm,
of sending the video stream to a server somewhere uh, in the block or in the building, it will process it locally. It will save a
mm,
lot of bandwidth, of course. So there are more and
mm-hmm,
more applications like that. But now, what we are doing now in the company, we wanted to have a direct contact with our customers, like the end user,
mm,
because otherwise we're selling a piece of technology. It's like I'm selling an engine, and the guys who are making the cars, they have the contact with the customer, and they are making the big
right.
money because they really are selling an experience. We were just the tech provider. Now we decide to go up and to build a solution, and we decide to focus on the mental health, well-being space. So you are a
Mm-hmm,
psychologist, you're aware of the size
mm,
of the issues of stress at work. Now that we are also mainly working remotely, are people really
right.
happy to work remotely? Is there any issue of depression, stress,
Mm-hmm,
motivation by not being together? So we are creating. It's a work in progress, but we're planning to release the product this year. So we're
mm,
building an emotional video journal. So the user will
mm,
be talking to his smartphone video journal app, and the AI will run locally, and it will
yeah.
analyze facial expressions. But now we are also going further. We're going to analyze the tone of voice, also with local AI, edge AI, and analyze what the person is saying, what words he or she is using, and try to correlate these different signals, the face, the voice, and the text
Mm-hmm,
from the translation, I mean the transcription, to have a good understanding to give a feedback to the person. How do you come across? How are you
right.
feeling today? And how are you
Right.
feeling today compared to last week, last month, to detect some trends, to anticipate some issues maybe. So this is a new
So
product for us.
that sounds really awesome. And how do you like, to build this kind of like product, how do you collect the data to train your models and everything?
Yeah, so we've used a mix of open data sets. You probably know of FAIR Plus, FER.
Oh, what is that?
FER, it's a big publicly available data set. We've worked
VR.
with existing data sets which are public. I don't recall if it's universities. And the grant we received in Belgium, we also
Mm-hmm.
had budget to acquire data. So with the
Mm-hmm.
university, we acquired data, we used open data sets, and then we did data augmentation. We did a lot of data augmentation. You can do
Mm,
augmentation with one image. Imagine me like this, and then you do a
right.
slight rotation, slight rotation,
Right.
so from one image you can generate 50 images easily. And what's
Mm,
label one? Okay, let's take one image of Chandra like this. He's happy at
mm,
20%, 40%. So you label one image, human work, or maybe you use some
right,
AI to do a pre-labeling. So you label your data and then you expand that data. That data, when I say data, it's really an annotated image into 50 images. So with
right.
one image that you had to manually annotate, which is a costly human
Mm,
process, now you have 50 images, which are all labeled. So we've been doing this kind of tricks to augment the size of the data set.
mm-hmm.
And now there is something new coming. We haven't bought yet, but you have synthetic data. So it's not real humans.
Synthetic
Yeah.
users?
Yeah, synthetic user. We haven't done it yet, but it's something that we're looking at, thinking about, and some companies are selling that. It's not very cheap either, so we haven't jumped on it like, oh, that's the cheapest next big thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not
We,
so sure about it yet because synthetic humans, I don't know, maybe they could fool me, but maybe they could not fool a psychologist like you. I don't know.
yeah, we actually like talked with them like a couple days before, like ago. Um, they were, I mean, the guy was like very cool, and definitely you should talk with them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether they are like ready to like, I don't know, like generate some images of like human faces yet. Like it sounded like they are basically on text based so far, but maybe it's coming up soon. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, next thing you know, I will fool you and you will fool me. It will be
Yeah,
our avatar
exactly.
in the meeting.
Well,
We'll be flipping pina colada and our avatar will be doing these business meetings. Yeah.
so like how long did it take for you to curate this data set? Because like I mean, like, in psychology, that's what we are always do. Like, we collect the data and like ask people like how they feel or like, measure their feelings or like their, emotions and like those like subtle things. And I believe, I mean, even though you said what you were concentrating on was like the human faces and you are able to like augment like, multiple images out of only one single image. I think like labeling them like and like collecting them like might have been, taken a lot of time and cost and effort, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we got a grant of almost $1 million, and that lasted 3 years. So that was a big part of that. If we had to
Mm,
do it alone, it would have been extremely costly for an early stage startup like we were.
right.
It would have been very costly. But with AI, there is so much innovation and new data sets are being produced every day. So we're also
Mm,
trying to jump onto new data sets to see if we can expand or existing ones.
mm-hmm,
It's changing so fast, and so I don't know if we need to, generate another 100,000 human faces. We've also put a lot of emphasis on the ethnic diversity in our data set. So we've
right.
always had at least 10, if not 20% of each, let's say, major ethnic groups. Simplifying,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if I suppose you're from Korean origin. We would put Chinese, Japanese in the same bucket. I'm sorry if I.
Wait a
And
second, they are all
yeah,
different.
yeah, I know. And I'm from Belgium. Don't mix me with a
Yeah,
German or a French. I hate it. But again, we are all WASP Caucasian, They will put us with the Russians and the Spanish, maybe even, and the Norwegians, everybody in the same bucket. So it's very simplistic. But
right,
we had like 5 or 6 buckets with Middle Eastern, Black, Latino, and we try to have at least 10, if not 20% of each. But
right.
again, to your point, it's very superficial. I would love with my company going forward to go much deeper,
I
very
see.
thin
Right,
layer of
right,
understanding of different ethnic mix to be sure that we are able to understand. And then you have another challenge. I was making a presentation to a bank in Brazil, very big
mm,
Japanese population in Brazil. But the
mm-hmm,
guy culturally is Brazilian. He was born in Brazil, but his parents are
mm,
Japanese. So on his face, he's 100% Japanese. but the way he moves, the way he talks, the way he smiles is very Brazilian, very expressive, outgoing. So what do you do with that? Are you analyzing it with the Japanese filter because he's ethnically Japanese? 100%. I mean, really, both parents and
Right.
grandparents, everybody is Japanese. But
Oh, that's a
the
real
way
good
he
point.
expresses himself is totally different. So
Right.
for me, it's totally open question. It's fascinating, but I don't know how to tackle that in a way that would be, accurate. Because in the end, what we are trying to do
Right.
is trying to generate data on how you are likely to be feeling. I mean, we're not wired
Right.
inside your brain. We don't know if you're happy or not. You look happy, but that doesn't mean you're happy.
Right.
So
Right.
I think we're
So
still in the early days of doing a real understanding of the emotional state of people.
yeah, and I guess like so we did some search as well, like, and I believe there is not so great open data set for emotion. Do you agree with that? Like,
The last time I had a
Mhm.
discussion on the data set, we were looking at FAIR Plus, which I don't
Mhm.
recall how big it is, but it's sizable. It's big enough to create a good model.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I would need to talk to my chief data science to see what he
Mhm.
thinks in terms of quality, size.
Mhm.
Yeah. By the way, I have a hard stop in 5 minutes. I don't know if you have many more
Oh,
questions. We can also have a chat by email if you have more questions, but
yeah, of course.
I really have a
Um,
meeting in 5.
but I have a quick question about the other company, Voicera.
So Voicera, I mean, we can do another call on that. It's quite different because there we are focused on the
I see.
sincerity. We're focusing on sincerity, which is different from emotions. And yeah, happy to have a chat with you on that. And
Mhm.
there, the data sets are much, much smaller. It was very big challenge for us to find a data set. We also do large language models, sentiment extraction
Right.
from, with NLP in
Uh-huh.
Voicera. So quite distinct from MoodMe is really focused today on the emotion from the face. We are going
Mhm.
into the voice, the tone of voice, and the sentiment from the text. But this is a new territory, and Voicera comes from the other side. Started with LLM, and then we had the
Mhm.
emotions and the sincerity.
Yeah, I see. Because like I mean, I got interested in because we are not like confined with the image modality only. Like eventually, like we are starting with the images for now, but like eventually we want to like tackle with other modalities like voices or like text and or sounds kind of thing. Um, so I wanted to like I was just curious what you were doing, and
You
yeah,
should try it. It's live as of yesterday. There is a free trial of our sincerity
okay,
detector. So you can
okay,
upload up to 5 videos for free. The video maximum 3 minutes, and then it will give you a real-time score on the sincerity. And
okay.
then it will also give at the end of the video an aggregate score. Like during this
Mm.
call, you were 80% of the time sincere and 10% lying or whatever. So it's a free
I
trial. You can use it
okay.
for free. Give it a shot, and we can have a chat on Voicera. It's a different company, different teams, not competing at all.
I see.
You know,
Mhm.
with MoodMe now, we start with the technology bricks of AI emotion, and now we're going
Mm.
to the B2C mindfulness, well-being, mental health
Right. Mhm.
with the B2C product, and then we'll
Uh-huh.
branch into B2B because we think it could be also licensed to healthcare providers and
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll test it on my boyfriend then to see his sincerity. But yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's far from perfect. It's 78% accuracy today,
Mm.
but it looks, from what I understand from the chief AI of Voicera, that humans are not too good at detecting lies. So it's way better than humans, but it's only
I see.
78 to 80%. So that,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
there is
yeah.
that.
Cool.
So we can
Yeah.
call you. That's why we have a lawyer in the team, and we are making sure we're not calling people a liar. We
Wow.
say
Mhm.
there is X% of probability that you may not be whatever. We put it sugarcoating on the legal side to make sure we're not calling anybody a liar because that's a bit too delicate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Well, yeah,
Well,
this was
may
really
I ask you,
great.
I have to jump on the other call, but can you
Right.
tell me, Jiwan, are you going to publish something? Are we getting a document back where you put all your findings together? What is the output that we can get back from you?
Yeah, I mean, from this meeting, you mean?
Yes, no, for your study in general.
We are not like planning for like publishing journals or anything for now.
No?
We have a very rough website, our website. I can share it with you like when this meeting ends, and of course the recordings too. And speaking of the, on-device analysis thing, I wanted to also introduce my my friend's company, which is called Nota AI, and they are like, doing this kind of stuff, like, making the machine learning model smaller that can be run on their own devices. So that's something that I think you would be interested in. So I wanted to like,
Yeah,
introduce you the company. And yeah,
please do
I
that.
need, yeah, will do. And it was really nice to meet you, and it was really helpful.
Thank you. 감사합니다, Jiwan. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Take care.
Bye.